Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to Open Journal Philosophy. This topic I want to talk about: good men don't give good women excuses. It's a serious topic. It doesn't have to be controversial, but it may take a life of its own. And the reason why this journal entry is called Good Men Don't Give Good Women Excuses is because in today's society, for the last probably 10 plus years, I'll give it about maybe 15 or more, but a strong 15 years from now to then, men has taken a form of liability, and I'll explain what that means to me. The olden men were known as the providers, and a man's duty demonstrated his love for his wife, or his spouse, and his offspring, providing for them, being the stature of security, so that the wife can take hold of the home, and after the man is out, finish out doing what he's doing to provide, be it modern day version or olden time version, he can come home to a nice peaceful environment. The wife has him a nice warm dinner, depending on the time of day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, however, whatever his provision skills are, he would be able to come home to his wife or his spouse and his children and, have a nice peaceful moment, because that would be his time to blend outside of what he has to do, not necessarily what he loves to do. And this tape is not going to be strictly about how men are supposed to be a certain way and how women are supposed to follow. I'm definitely not going in that direction. I am a firm believer in an independent woman. I myself prefer an independent woman, and I will explain on that now. Because an independent woman is more beneficial long term than a woman who simply just wants you to do everything for her. And I usually tell this to my friends when they were single and having relationship ups and downs. I always said, never go into a relationship looking for the other person to do for you while you do nothing but observe. And never go into a relationship with a woman, if it was a man, never go into a relationship with a woman who just wants you to do everything. Because what that says is, you go into a relationship without the thought of unity. So the saying goes, a relationship is supposed to be geared on or based upon not what can you do for me, but what can we do for each other. Because if we do for each other, the relationship will be proficient. If it's just one-sided, the relationship is destined to fail. Because the economical times that we live in, the political times that we live in, will not allow a man, unless he is, either making 6+ figures, as a certain traditional education may have provided him, if he is not some type of leader in a corporate organization or a network marketing organization, or if he didn't hit the lottery, or he simply did not inherit some type of financial wealth, be it the market or just family inheritance. It does not allow the man, this society does not allow the man to simply just do what the olden times men always done, which is just take care of the house and home and the wife simply doesn't have to do anything but stay home, or have her girls' night out. Even back in the olden times, women, even though they were housewives, they still had days where it would just be the neighborhood women's day. They would go to, that they would meet up at this one particular home. Even during like World War One and Two, these things went on. But then women started to have more of a say so, and they began to want to be more independent. Those are the women that a man needs to look for. Good men. And what I mean by good men, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a good man because you have a lot of money. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good man just because you know how to cater to a woman. A good man has more than one thing to offer a woman. Let me make that clear. A good man, in my belief, has more to offer a woman than just one asset. You have men out there who are only good at giving money, providing, but they are very poor when it comes to emotional connection. But that may be because nobody ever taught them how to feel. You have men out there who are good at, listening and giving that emotional connection, but no one may have ever taught them how to provide. You have men that are good out there at giving both, providing as well as encouraging a woman intellectually, but nobody may have taught them how to feel. I mean, there's all kind of different men out there. And in order for a woman to actually come across what's known as a Renaissance man, this man has to actually take the time to actually want to study a woman. The stereotype in the men's society, and I say that with quotation marks, is that men will never understand women. Here's where I beg to disagree. A woman is complex in her emotions, not necessarily her mind. And I say that respectively only because when you look at these TV shows, these reality shows, when you go out in public, when you look at, things that go on these talk shows, most women have a lot of the same things in common. And I'm not saying all women. Hear me. I'm not saying all women. This tape is in no way, shape, form, or fashion bashing a woman. I'm simply showing people verbally. You can see it with your own eyes. I don't have to show you visually. You can see that with your own two eyes. But for the more mature and open-minded audience that is listening, a woman has a lot of things in common with other women emotionally because they're intuitive. Their strengths and their abilities that are more beneficial for the woman come from their emotions, not necessarily just their mind. But when you find a woman who has balanced herself emotionally to some point where her mind is able to bounce off or connect to that balanced emotion, that is what I like to call a considerate woman. Let me explain. A considerate woman is a woman who feels what she feels, but doesn't put what she feels always ahead of what needs to be done. I will say that again. A considerate woman is a woman who feels what she feels, but doesn't always necessarily put what she feels ahead of what needs to be done. That is a woman, in my view, and that I have seen with my own two eyes, who is mentally intellectual and talented, as well as emotionally intellectual and talented. Meaning, she can do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, in case something happens to the man. No man is supposed to just depend on his woman. It's not in your nature. And when you pretend like it is in your nature, you devalue yourself as a man. So if you are a good man, a man who cares about his health, even if you are unhealthy, if you're suffering from something, an illness, sickness, or disease that may not necessarily have been in your control, it may have just snuck up on you, keep striving to overcome that shortcoming. But a good man is a man who takes care of his health, feeds his mind, he reads, he feeds his mind the things of life that is going on in the present, the things that went on in the past, and the things that are to come. He is a man who has emotional stability, a man who can hold his own no matter what the situation, a man who can blend in no matter what the situation, no matter the atmosphere. He's a man who can actually encourage his woman to the point where she can look to him for all kinds of support. He's a man who may be able to provide his woman with one or two things, and he's still striving to provide his woman with even more. I'm not saying that this man is considered the perfect man. To a woman, maybe. But even then, it would be arrogant for the man, knowing his strengths, to consider himself the perfect man, because you're still learning, no matter how old you are. But the goal here is to provide the woman with more than one valuable asset. Provide her with a balanced spirituality. Provide her with a balanced emotional content, emotional connection. Provide her with a balanced mental stability. Provide her with balanced physical stimulation and stability. Some men are excellent sexually, but suck mentally. And if the woman cannot have mental stability with you, 9 times out of 10, she's not going to be with you. Most women prefer mental stability and some emotional stability versus all emotional and and lacking in the mental department. And I'll tell you this why. Because most women already have emotion over the man. They don't necessarily need more emotion. How can you provide for a person in the long run if all you're giving them is emotion? They have to have something to build off on, and that's where the mental the mental stability comes in. I'm not asking everybody to agree with my philosophy. But what I'm saying, if you take a really good look at it and you listen to my words, there's not much more that can be said for the success of a relationship, because I pretty much think I've touched bases on all of it. I may have generalized some content, but like I said, for the more open-minded audience, and I say that respectively because everybody has their shortcomings, but for the more open-minded audience who hear my words, who hears my voice, you already know that I have touched bases on just about what makes a relationship successful between a good man and a good woman. And so I titled this journal entry, Good Men Do Not Give Good Women Excuses. Because all men start off a good man. And I'm not saying that in the status quo of an actual man. I mean from the time they are born. When they have a phallus between their legs, they're considered a male. They're going to become a man. From the time a woman is born, she has a vagina between her legs. She is going to become one day a woman. You are born good, and you grow in life turns you into who you are. The past makes you who you are. And if you do not like who you are, you have the power to change who you are. But when you get to a point that you are in adulthood, make sure that you are proficient in whatever it is you do, men and women. So that way, when you get in a relationship with someone, know yourself first. And if you listen to my other tapes, you'll know what I mean when I say know yourself first. Because I've touched bases on that. Know yourself first. Good men don't give good women excuses. Don't give them an excuse to be lazy. Don't give a woman an excuse to be lazy. You put her in this world of fantasy. You shower her, wine and dine her. Those things are great stimulation for the mind and the body and the spirit. But don't overdo it, because if a woman gets used to that lifestyle, that's all she's going to expect. And if you have a family, if you have children, if something happens to you, she will not know what to do in a proficient manner to successfully continue your legacy with your children. Why? Because she's going to look for another man to do exactly the same mistake you did, which is just provide her with nothing but a fantasy. And you didn't stimulate her mind for her to become something more. A good man will take his woman out, be a gentleman with her, provide her, shower her with good things that she likes, but you don't abuse that, because then she gets used to it and she gets trapped in it. Why? Because she's an emotional creature. And in future tapes, I'll touch bases on what I mean by that, because I'll go into sexual connections between a man and a woman, and why women make a lot of mistakes via relationship, and why men make a lot of mistakes via relationship. And it involves the sexual part of this tape. So that'll be a continuation. But good men, remember, good men never give good women excuses. Never give her an excuse to be less than a woman that she's supposed to be. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed day.